Okay, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This internet connection is a bit slow. So just let me know in the comments if you guys can hear if the sound's working properly. And then inshallah we can start. So yeah, this is another Friday. Alhamdulillah. And as usual on Fridays, we normally have Jumas, but these Fridays we haven't been having Jumas. And Tartib, the normal schedule, is a bit upside down, so sometimes I even forget what day it is. Jazakumullah khair, flames, thank you very much. So yeah, it's another Friday, another Juma, end of the week, and next week hopefully Ramadan's going to be starting, so I'm going to prepare for Ramadan. You guys have any preparations for Ramadan? Are you guys looking forward to Ramadan coming this year? It's going to be a bit different, I think, from normal Ramadans, but inshallah the barakah is still going to be there much. Inshallah the barakah is going to be there, the feeling is going to be there as well. Yeah, because Ramadan is just something which is experienced. Yeah, so inshallah Ramadan is going to be, that spiritual feeling is going to be there inshallah. But it's just a matter of, I think, Taraweehs, those people who are running away from Taraweehs, yeah, now you got nothing to run away from, bro. But yeah, inshallah, I think the main thing is Ramadan has barakah in itself, something which cannot be denied. So that's, inshallah, not going to stop. But yeah, Taraweeh, going to the mosque and having group iftars and having that kind of annual change in the routine for 1 month, waking up early, going to sleep late, having to go to work or university or college, and all these kind of things are now messed up. I don't know, I think most people aren't going work. I usually in Ramadan, I'm usually working less in Ramadan. I don't have much teaching where I teach, but I still do a lot of things, so I'm still quite busy. And normally I have a lot of talks in Ramadan, but this year I think a lot of the talks are going to be online. So I think that's one of the biggest changes. And I don't know, usually I'm not really kind of comfortable in giving talks online. I can give live streams. Live streams is different. But giving talks online is a bit different, because if you give talks in front of public speeches, you know that public speeches is all about the audience, right? You have to have the audience in front of you if you want to be able to really get into the kind of like mood of giving a talk. And I really need an audience in front of me if I want to get into the mood of it. I can give a talk if there's 1 or 2 people there, but it's not that same sort of like feeling that you get. Yeah, you need to have this kind of like reciprocation from the audience, this response from the audience. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah, mashallah. I don't always do Taraweeh at home, really go to the masjid for Taraweeh. Yeah, so people who do Taraweeh at home are not really going to feel much of a difference there. But I usually go to the masjid. So, it's going to be a bit different. But hopefully, inshallah, people are going to be live streaming. Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Amina, your conversation in Arabic with your students was hilarious. I listened to it 10 times. Yeah, so basically that conversation is for the past 2 weeks. Some of my students, like where I teach so far, they contacted me and said, we want some spoken Arabic practice. So far they have this platform which is known as Google Meetings, So if you've heard of Google Hangouts, there's something called Google Meetings. You got to pay for it, and you can have like up to, I don't know, 100 people on there, right, at one time. So it's really good. It's very light as well, as in it doesn't slow down your computer. You can do it from your phone, you can do it from an iPad or anything like that, and it's very versatile as well, as in you can use it to share the screen. You can write on the screen, they can see it. There is like maybe a bit of lag right, a slight bit of lag, but it's not really that bad. And for teaching, I think it's a very easy platform, a bit like Skype, but Skype's a bit heavier, and obviously Skype has more functionalities with it. But yeah, so basically, so they said to me, can we study? So initially there was about, I think it was about 10, 12 of them, and then they slightly sort of dwindle down. So every day we just go over like half an hour. We just have, so because they've studied Arabic before, as in grammar and these kind of things. So some of them are in the second year and so far, some of them are third year and so far. And so they can actually, they know a lot of the vocab, they know a lot of how to construct sentences and, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is that what I do with them is I get them to speak. So I put them into sort of like strange scenarios, you can say. Yeah, awkward scenarios where they have to try and, so the one that I recorded and I put up was about them. Their homework was to imagine you're a drug dealer and you have to solve the world problems. So in Arabic, you got to tell us that. So it's a bit kind of like role playing as well. So and it's funny at the same time. It's like light humor, and so we can say whatever we want. We don't feel uncomfortable, and because you can't see everyone, right? As in, you just see me, and everyone else is just audio. Everyone kind of feels more comfortable, I guess. So they can speak with each other. They can. So that's one of the exercises I do. There's several exercises I do with them. So I was just testing it out to see how successful it would be if in the future I was to have like an online sort of spoken Arabic class. What would be the best way to teach it? Because the problem with online, like I normally teach it face to face in a class, and usually I get the students to start speaking very quickly because there's face to face interaction, and they can speak to each other, they can be paired up, and we can get them to conversations. But this way, I think limiting factor is obviously long distance, and then you got to kind of, sometimes there's a lag, and sometimes a word doesn't get through, and then so that's basically what I did. So lots of schools use Zoom. Yeah, I heard lots of schools use Zoom. I mean, I have used Zoom in the past, but I don't know. I don't know. I haven't been kind of reviewing them to see which one's the best one to use. So at the moment, I've only used, in the past, I've used Skype. I've used this Google Meetings, and I've also used WizIQ. Yeah, WizIQ was something I used to use in the past when I used to do my online lessons. So if you've seen some of the courses that I have on the Rook.com, some of them are done on WizIQ. So WizIQ is quite good as well, and Zoom I think is probably another good one. And I think if you get the Zoom, that the paid one, where you pay, I think there's a paid version. I think that's got some more functions on there, useful functions for teaching, right? Like breakout rooms and sharing documents, right, and stuff like that. Presentations as well, writing on the screen. Writing on the screen, I think everyone fails in that, apart from I think Skype and meetings. Writing on the screen is more smoother with that. So that's basically how the sort of like platforms work basically. So I've been doing it with them guys, and today is gonna be actually the last day we're gonna be doing it. And yeah, I mean it's gone quite well, and I'm just thinking to myself, in the future, if I was to do it, because a lot of people have been asking me. So since I put that video up, a lot of people have been commenting under the video and have been asking that, can we join the classes as well? So the problem is if people think, for example, learning Arabic spoken is very easy. It's not easy. yeah, it requires a lot of listening skills. It requires a lot of, and the people that you're speaking with, it all kind of boils down to their levels as well. So usually I find having a level of Arabic. So if you had, let's say, 3 or 4 levels of Arabic, that it's not wise to mix the levels up, right? So mixing up the levels, I think it's kind of disadvantageous. And the reason that is because you'll always get in the class 1 or 2 people who know some extra Arabic, and they lower the confidence of the other students. So the ones that are learning, they're going to feel low in confidence because they'll know there's a guy in the class and they know a bit more extra Arabic, and they'll throw in their extra words and phrases. So eventually the class becomes centered around them. So that's why I don't like it when there's someone whose Arabic is very good and everyone's quite low. So what I like is everyone to be roughly on the same level. And that's why if you listen to the video, I try to speak the Arabic very, very slowly at their level, to try and kind of like get that. So there's several exercises I do with them as well. Maybe, I don't know, maybe in the future I might make a video explaining how I teach spoken Arabic. Yeah, the different kind of exercises I give students, practice, what kind of skills I find are useful, or what kind of maybe presentations even are useful for that. Why is it important to learn how to converse in Arabic? I just wonder who will see. Yeah, exactly. I mean, see, a lot of people want to learn spoken Arabic, but they don't know why they want to learn it. I think a lot of people want to learn it just because they want to have that confidence that they know how to speak Arabic, not because they're going to be speaking Arabic with someone. It's just that kind of thing, like you've got that extra qualification. Sometimes when you go to that workplace and they ask you, what are you qualified in? You go, I'm qualified in, I did a sign language course, and I did cleaning the street course, and I helped the scouts, and I did this and I did that. I mean, that's not really going to help you in life, but it's just like to put something under your belt so that at least people will think that you're a well experienced, well-rounded person. I think that's the only reason people study it. Otherwise, people who are serious in learning Arabic really want to learn Arabic. Very few of them have like a purpose. Like, for example, I didn't really have a purpose when I was learning Arabic spoken. I didn't really think to myself in the future, what am I going to be doing with Arabic? I didn't think to myself. I mean, I knew I wanted to learn comprehension Arabic, like be able to read Arab books, but not necessarily when it came to spoken Arabic, as in spoken Arabic. I think is something which is something which is useful if you're going to be interacting with scholars, if you're going to be interacting with communication with other sort of like people who speak Arabic. Then yeah, definitely useful. Yeah, if you want to teach in Arabic. Light humor is great for your students in the turbulent times. Yeah, definitely. I agree, Ammar. Definitely. What do you have for Sehri? Sehri, I have for Suhoor, I usually have porridge. I just have porridge. Maybe I might have boiled egg with it. That's it, really. Some dates maybe. Not too much. Ammar, I think the best way to speak Arabic confidently, to live in Arabic speaking country, will force the person to just... Yeah, I mean, I know you're an Arab, bro. You're lucky, that's the thing. But most of us are not that lucky. I think a lot of people who, like non-Arabs, who want to speak Arabic and they go to an Arab country, the problem that they find is it's difficult for them to be able to differentiate between Fusha Arabic and between the local dialect, right? So that's the kind of thing. I mean, I personally find that as well when I went to certain Arab countries and spoke there. You find that as well. So this is why I think there needs to be some sort of like a program that someone can devise, and I have my own one, obviously, from my experience of teaching. But I think a lot of sort of like people need to have or maybe get together some teachers and can come out with some sort of like a way of like speeding up the process of learning Arabic, spoken Arabic, and maybe have like a goal, right? Maybe we can have some sort of like, I don't know, some national competition of speaking Arabic, something like that, something which is going to motivate the younger people, to have a purpose of learning Arabic. Otherwise, there's no purpose in learning spoken Arabic. If you think about it, yes, comprehension Arabic definitely is a purpose, which is understanding Quran, understanding, the traditional texts. But spoken Arabic, there doesn't seem to be like a solid aim and objective of it. So that's anyway what I think. That comes to my mind. Okay. Just saw a video of a guy who spoke 20 languages. MashaAllah, 20 languages. One of the 20 languages Pashto. Excellent. Maria, true, but we lived in Saudi and I was little for 10 years, but none of us learnt it because we just interacted with Pakistanis. Yeah, that's what happens. What's your opinion on Pakistan opening masjids? I mean, I haven't really kind of listened to it. I mean, I've received mixed reports about what exactly was said. Was it something that was a suggestion, or was it something that was like a fatwa? What was it? So I don't really know. I mean, Allah knows best. I mean, I don't really like to kind of talk about politics in a different country. If it was in this country, I'll discuss it. But I think in other countries, they've got their own problems. I don't know. Wallah alam. Can you estimate how long it will take for an intermediate speaker to reach proficiency? Is a year with 4 hours daily realistic? 4 hours daily? Whoa, that's loads. That is. Yeah, definitely. If you see, it depends. What are you doing in 4 hours? Like, what skill are you focusing on? So if you're learning Arabic, spoken Arabic, if you are focusing on listening, how much listening do you have to do? That's the question you need to ask yourself. And if you want to focus on speaking, how much speaking are you going to do? So if you have a conversation with someone, for example, for 4 hours, how much of those 4 hours are you actually focusing on the speaking side of it? So sometimes what might happen is you might just stand there in front of the guy and he might be speaking to you and he's saying 70% of the things. And the other person is saying like just yes, na'am, la, stuff like that. Then that's not that. I don't think that's going to be helpful. So what there needs to be is some sort of a structured way of utilizing those 4 hours a day. So for example, like maybe you might want to spend a short time like giving a presentation in Arabic. One thing. Number two, you might want to take, let's say for example, a concept or a word or whatever, and you might want to try and explain that word. So you're given a word and you've got 10 minutes to explain as much as you can about that word, right? And then you kind of you go on and on and on, and you might have to even, for example, like even have some sort of, so you got to focus on different elements. Does that make sense? Because otherwise, if you just focus on one aspect, like for example, I know lots of people who graduate from madrasas or Arabic institutes, and the Arabic is very text. It sounds very textual. Yeah, it's very text. It doesn't flow nicely. Like if an actual Arab was to listen to them speak, they sound like a robot. Yeah, it's like they're reading, like a newspaper or something to them. When they speak, they just sound like a very formal text like that. It's not naturally flowing. It's not doesn't have the words are not kind of synced. Does that make sense? So yeah, I think it's possible, but it just has to be refined. Hey Hussein, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Why not? It wasn't a suggestion. They said we will do Taraweeh in Ramadan. I mean, it all depends. I think a lot of people, one thing about Pakistani people is they like politics even if they're living outside of Pakistan. They love Pakistan politics. And they love giving their opinion on Pakistan politics. Right? I obviously, I'm Pakistani myself. And there's lots and lots of people out there in Pakistan, I know. Whether they are, well-to-do doctors, whether they are just sitting in the barber's shop, whether they're just cutting meat, everyone has to, and the news is like that as well. So the news, if you watch the Pakistani news, right, maybe similar to Indian news as well, you have these arguments on the news, ARY TV and Geo, and they have 6 or 7 people in small little boxes, and they're all shouting at each other, and it's that's what they love, right? They love discussing things, and the one thing they do love, right, which is they like talking about things which have not been affirmed, which haven't been confirmed. So non-confirmed reports, they love. I lived there for 9 years and I know this inside out. Sometimes a newspaper used to come out, right, and they had a massive heading on there. Oh, Osama bin Laden has been caught, right, or this has been happened, or this has happened, and then all of a sudden the next few days you find out it was all a lie, right? It's just to kind of sell information, sell news. So this does happen a lot, unfortunately. It's a bit like, Fox News. Sometimes you get a bit like Fox News kind of mentality, right, over there as well. So this is why I don't really take it that seriously, in that sense, unless I get really, I really have information that's solid information. Then I'll probably say something. So you can ask me about things, but if I don't know about the kind of topic, then I won't answer. Kamran, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan, Kamran. Abdullah Khan, assalamu alaikum wa alaikum assalam. Abdullah, mashallah, the latest content posted on your YouTube channel is priceless. You have eased our lockdown. Allahu Akbar. Allah, jazakallah khair, mashallah. Yeah, so if you've seen the new video I put up today, which was on the bars. So someone actually contacted me recently and they wanted to do like a very advanced Nahu, Arabic grammar. So they requested that I go through some books on Sheikh Fadl Saleh Samurai. And he's got a book called Ma'ani and Nahu, which is quite advanced, right? Which a lot of people, beginners, I mean, it depends how you teach it actually, I personally think. If it's taught and it's something very, very, very complicated, is broken down to a beginner, I think they can understand it. So at the moment, I'm just kind of thinking to myself, how am I going to teach? I'm going through the book. I'm thinking of how am I going to teach it. Ideally, the way I like teaching things is if I have an audience in front of me. So if I have an audience, if you remember the Ajurrumiyadan, right, where I had an audience, and then I kind of bounce off the audience. I get inspirations whilst I'm teaching. Someone will ask a question, and then it will kind of make me think about how I'm going to present, explain the masala. Right? Otherwise, if I don't have anyone in front of me, then it's I kind of become, you can say, I have this kind of tunnel vision of how I'm going to teach, which can be good sometimes because I'm consistent, I'm carrying on, and the videos are consistent. But then sometimes I think a lot of students, they like it when teachers go off topic. They like questions being answered. So when questions in lessons are being answered, a lot of students, they learn more. They say to me, they learn more when people ask you questions in your lessons than they do in others. So I don't know if that's a praise or if that's dispraise. You guys work out. 5 random question. What's the age of your beard? The age of my beard, as in, what do you mean by age? So do you mean by age when it first started to come out? Do you mean by age the last time I shaved my beard off? Is that what you mean? Or do you mean the last time I trimmed my beard? What do you mean by age? Right. But remember, if you ask me a question, the way I think of questions is my brain is a very sort of like mechanical. It works very mechanically. Yeah, very systematically, mathematically. So when you guys ask me what's the favorite and what's the best and what's this and what's that, so in my mind, what I try to do is I try to understand exactly what you're trying to say, which sometimes is good and sometimes is not. Do you still attend Juma prayer in mosque as Imam? No, but today I actually did go. So my local masjid, they contacted me, and there's about 3 or 4 of them that just to keep the Jumas going, as in the obligation of Juma in the masjid. So 3 or 4 of them. So they contacted me, and I went today. Actually gave a talk as well. Only about 3 or 4 people, but it's relayed in the receivers at home. But normally, I mean, the past few weeks I've been doing it at home. Been doing my dhuhr at home. Why now? Do you think you love and enjoy Arabic as a language, or because it's a language of the Quran, and as a scholar you're forced to learn it? Good question that is. I think I initially started to like learning Arabic when I was in my teens, when I started practicing when I was about 17, 18 years old. I think I initially wanted to learn Arabic because scholars used to quote it a lot, and I just found that fascinating. I don't know why. It just sounded very romantic. Like, you know what I'm saying? And then I think from there it was like, obviously I wanted to learn the Quran as well. So initially I think it was a more focused. It was a more sort of like not focused. It was focused around the Quran, and you can say in a way more forced to understand it for the Quran. But then slowly, when I started to learn about Arabic and literature and other things and spoken Arabic, I think then it became more about understanding the culture, understanding concepts. So I don't know. I mean, it's like, I don't know. What can I give an example? Like, I think it's maybe like, sometimes when someone doesn't know art, and then you force them to look at art, and they keep on looking at art and looking at it and looking at it. Eventually, it's just like something clicks inside of them, and they don't just like the art. They want to know the different strokes that are used. They want to know the different way that the artist looks at pictures, how he thinks, and so all this kind of I think is, that's why I put a post up recently on my Facebook, which was it was basically saying, the gist of it was that if people want to understand Arabic literature, what they have to do is they have to actually put themselves in the shoes of the speaker, right? So let's say, for example, I'm going through let's say depression or sadness, and I write something. I am the only one that feels what I've written. Now, if I want you guys to feel what I've written, you guys need to be able to have this resonate inside of you somehow. Whether it's you've experienced it yourself, right? Or whether it's, I don't know, whether it's maybe because you're so acute, you're so sort of like sensitive to this kind of language, that it kind of like inside of you, your body sort of like your heart kind of connects with it. And let's say, for example, if I write something, I'm really happy, I passed an exam or something, or something's really good's happened to me, and I write something, that happiness and joy, you need to be able to feel that inside of you. And what tends to happen is that when people study Arabic adab, so what happens is, like I'll give you an example. In madrasa, when we study it, your teacher tells you that this text is a sad text, right? This is lil huzn, yeah, or lil shajan, and then they say this text is farh, yeah, surur, and this text is for anger, and this text is, so you kind of in your mind you imagine the emotion, and then you try to fit it onto the text. Does that make sense? So using the emotion and trying to fit it onto the text, this is something which is I think it's a wrong way. Maybe kids learn like this. I guess kids do learn like that because kids are taught emotions, I think, right? They're kind of taught emotions. Like my nephew, he sees us laugh, so what he does is he'll watch something and he'll just have this fake laugh that he does. Now at the moment he's doing fake laughs. He's only about 2 years old. But later on, I know that he will be able to feel laughter himself. He'll laugh sometimes at things that he finds funny. Like he will truly find something funny. Does that make sense? So this is why I think if you really want to reach a high level of adab Arabi, you need to read loads and loads and loads, right? You just need to just carry on reading. If you say to me, I've read 1,000 poems, that's not enough. You will need to read, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 10,000 poems or Arabic literature to really be able to put your fingers on the pulse of Arabic, to know exactly what's happening. That's how I would say. Okay, and I like art anyway, so I think that kind of is very, very, I think art is a very, very good subject to take up if you want to appreciate Arabic language. Yeah. Ammar, so true. Everyone is so concerned with politics, even if it doesn't concern them and has no basis. Yeah, exactly. Hazrat Somali, I'm interested in learning Urdu too. Is it hard language? I thought it would be easy since a good amount is derived from Arabic. Yeah, it's quite easy. In fact, I used to have friends in Pakistan in madrasa who were Somalian, and they learnt Urdu very quick. Yeah, they learnt Urdu very quick. So they were learning Arabic anyway. So the Urdu they picked up on the side. Yeah, so a lot of Urdu, it depends what kind of Urdu. There's like an Urdu which is a more sort of like formal Urdu. Yeah, which has lots of Arabic used words in there, and there's a kind of more like a romantic Urdu, as in Urdu that's found in poetry. That's not really the kind of, doesn't really have much Arabic words in there. It's got more Persian words in there. Yeah, Punjabi kind of words and things like that. But yeah, you can learn it definitely. There's loads of resources online on YouTube. Loads of people who are teaching Urdu. How can people from Tunisia speak Arabic differently, and other countries have slight differences in words pronunciation? Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it's just like why do English people speaking English speak different? I mean, now because of globalization, English has kind of become more uniformed. But if you think about it, certain places in Scotland, certain places in Wales, certain places in if you go to Nigeria, certain places if you go to listen to some English in South Africa, in America, in Australia, New Zealand, India, Pakistan, the way they speak English might be very different. Yeah, a lot of the kind of terminology that's used, or maybe even expressions. Yeah, and that's the evolution of languages. Language has loads and loads and loads of differences in there. I mean, Pashto. If you speak Pashto, Pashto is another strange language. So if you travel in Pakistan and Afghanistan, this is where you usually find it, north of Pakistan and Afghanistan, you'll find big differences between one tribe and another tribe in how they speak Pashto. Right? Even though the language is the same, we kind of understand each other, but we can't kind of speak like maybe what someone else speaks. Okay, chasing supercars. Wa alaikum salam. What's the difference between someone who follows the Quran and Sunnah as opposed to follow a madhab? I mean, a good question. I mean, I've done a series on my YouTube channel. I've done a three-part series on the madhab itself. So you see, when someone says, for example, they follow the Quran and Sunnah, the question that obviously is raised is, do you follow the translation of Quran and Sunnah? Like, do you follow in the English translation? So, or do you follow the Arabic? Right. So if someone says, I follow the English translation, then you're really following what a translator thinks the Quran means. Does that make sense? So whenever you translate something, you think that's what it means. So you're not really following the Quran, you're not following the Sunnah. What you're following actually is an attempt to translate. If you had 10 people and you tell them, okay, you know Arabic, yeah? Okay, translate the Quran for me. I guarantee you all the 10 will not translate exactly the same. They'll translate things differently. So this is why, like, if you look at the English translations, there's quite different. You can do like a juxtaposed, like a review of them, and you'll find differences. Now, if you say, okay, I follow the Quran and Sunnah, but not in English, I follow the Arabic, then the issue would come is, okay, so how would you resolve certain issues then? Like, for example, how do you know in the Quran, Aqimus Salat means Aqimus Salat, establish prayer? Or how do you know in the Quran when Allah says, إِذَا قُرِئَ الْقُرْآنُ فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ أَنْصِتُوا, when the Quran is raised, when the Quran is recited, listen attentively and be quiet. How do you understand that? Because if the Quran is saying, when the Quran is recited, listen carefully and be quiet. How do you fit that in with the Prophet ﷺ saying, where he says, there's no salat without Fatiha? So there's no salat without Fatiha. So if the Imam's reading, let's say you're behind the Imam, Quran is saying, when the Quran's recited, listen and be quiet. So Imam's reciting Fatiha. How do you? So some of the scholars would say, okay, Fatiha is exempted. But the others would say, well, how do you know that? Are you just taking a verse and taking a hadith and just interpreting in your own way? Is that what you think? Or is that what the Prophet ﷺ said? So clearly the Prophet ﷺ has not said that. He's just said, there's no salat without Fatiha. And some will say, no, actually what you do is the Imam should stop. So after he reads Fatiha, he should go stop and let the people behind read Fatiha. But then someone will argue, but did that really happen in the time of the Prophet ﷺ? Did he do that? And then they'll say, well, not really. It's just like a way of trying to reconcile both ayats and hadith. And then someone might say, well, can't we take the hadith to mean this? That there's no salat without Fatiha if you're praying on your own or if you're the Imam. But if you're praying behind the Imam, then it's okay, you don't have to read. And was this a practice of some Sahaba? Well, some Sahaba did it, yeah, and some Sahaba didn't. So, yeah, so if a person was to take the Quran and Sunnah route themselves, I would say it's a very good thing. But the only problem is that they would have to learn Arabic very well. And they would actually have to kind of go through all the hurdles that the scholars went through, right? So it's like saying someone saying, you know what, I want to become a doctor, but I don't want to go to university. I want to study medicine from the original books of medicine that were written, right? So someone's going to say, well, why don't you follow all the research that's been done over the years by experts? Why don't you just follow that? Right? Won't it make more sense? Why would you have to go back? Because you're going to end up with the same conclusions usually anyway. And that's what the scholars say. That's why it's more reliable to follow a madhab, because they've done all the research, all the conclusions that you can come out with. Someone's going to have said it in a madhab. So if you watch those videos, I've explained it a bit more better in there. Common sense. Quiet Echo, can you also suggest advanced books after learning Nahu and Sarf? Also, what is the highest stage in Arabic language? I was going to make a video on this today, but I don't think I'll have time because I've got to do the Kanz one. I haven't done that yet. Maybe I might make it tomorrow. So basically, it depends. What do you want from Arabic? Like, do you want to become an expert in Arabic grammar, or do you want to be able to just read Arabic? What do you want? So there might be some people, for example, like, let's say there's someone who wants to become an expert in English grammar. He wants to learn all the rules of English grammar. And he's not bothered with being able to write English. Like, he's not really bothered. I'm not going to become an author. I'm not going to write any books. I'm not going to teach in English. I'm not going to maybe even write one passage in English. All I want to do is become an expert, right, in this. Yeah, I want to read all about it. I want to know all about it. You know, like some people, they go on YouTube and they'll watch a tutorial of how to do computer programming, an 8-hour tutorial, and they watch the entire thing, right, the whole thing. And when they watch the whole thing, they don't know how to do it themselves, but it's just they feel that satisfaction that they've become expert. They can explain to anyone of how computer programming works and all that. Whereas, let's say you get someone who just wants to learn English. I just want to be able to read an English book. I just want to be able to go to school and do GCSE exams, or I want to do A-level exams. I want to be able to get into university. So I need basic English. So I personally think a lot of people, when they say they want to study Arabic, they don't want to study Arabic grammar at extremely high level, right, or at PhD level. What they just want to do is they just want to know enough grammar to be able to read and get access to Arabic books. That's what I personally think. But they don't know what they want to do. And because they've been told so much about the importance of Arabic grammar, they don't know where to put the brakes on. Like, they don't know at which book should they put the brakes on, and now start focusing more on textual implementation. That's what I think. Yeah, so if you want, advanced books, if you want to go into Arabic grammar, there's like 10-volume books, like Ibn Ya'ish's 10-volume commentary on Al-Mufassal by Imam Zamakhshari. 10 volumes, that is. And, Imam Sibaway's commentary, his book Al-Kitab, and then commentaries on that, 5-volume books on Kitab Sibaway. And then, Ibn Jinni's books, and then, Ibn Asfur's books, and, Ibn Malik's poetry. So, it's just like, where do you really want to go? I think, what do you want to do? So I personally think number one, I think teachers need to be realistic and give their students like a goal, right? You should kind of utilize the advice of your teacher, but ask your teacher for practical goals of what you want, and that way the teacher will be able to help you. So I think that's one of the most important things, and a lot of us, I think, lack that. So a lot of people are learning online, so they're just like hearing people say this and that, and a lot of people say to me, I need to study Ajurrumiya, I need to study Hidayat al-Nahu, I need to study Ibn Malik, I need to study this, I need to study that. But do they really need to study it? I think they're like a bit lost. Kamran, I did not know beards have ages. Interesting question. Okay, your beard as a last clean shave. Last clean shave I had was, I think it was around 17 years old. 17 years old. Yeah. I've got some pictures of that. I think I put it up. Did I put it up on my social media a few months ago? So clean shave. A Sufa. Okay, say the Sufa. No, Sufa's closed. Munir Breaker. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Munir, ahlan wa sahlan, marhaban. How have you been? How is you're from Belgium, right? Am I right? Is it Belgium or Netherlands? I get confused. S. Hussein with this, do you have a mentor, any role models which people are you inspired by? So yeah, I do, definitely. So I mean, see, when it looks when there's mentors, I think there's two types of mentors that people need. One is, I think we need like classical mentors, like the Prophet ﷺ is our mentor, Sahaba is a mentor. So those are like the mentors that we're never going to meet, or we haven't met. But those are like their lives, like stories in their lives, and are very inspirational to us. And the second is, I think we need a practical mentor. What do I mean a practical mentor? Practical mentor is, it could be a good friend of yours. It could be like an uncle or an auntie. It could be, someone who is, in your community. It could be a teacher, anyone. So I think all of us need that. And I have like several of those that I look up to. So I have, for example, like a group of scholars that I study with. And I look up to them, right? So when I say, when you say role model, the way I understand a role model is, if I'm in a situation, I think to myself, what would this guy do? What would this guy do? So whenever I put someone else in my shoes, I consider that to be making someone your role model. Yeah, like a mentor. And sometimes I'll have certain people where I might ask them, what do you advise about this? What do you advise? How should we go about this? What do you think? So definitely, I mean, I consider them practical mentors. I don't like someone who is a celebrity, like a well-known person, and someone might kind of think they're my mentor, and they hardly have any interaction with them, any communication with them, I think that's a fake mentor. That's just namesake mentor. But it's, I think proper mentors are the guys, who you kind of look up to. In certain things, I look up to my, my MMA teachers in some of my things. Yeah, the advice they give, the way they kind of, practically kind of show sometimes humility, these kind of things. I like looking at these people. So I like, practical mentors, I call them. Khan Gok, mashallah. Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dr. Muhammad, Arabic is easy, definitely. I'm still learning, alhamdulillah. 5 rule, I'm part Desi, Malay, Indonesian. Whoa. Malay and Indonesian use Arabic words in romanization, and they are in our dictionary, but I don't know how to start learning Arabic. So what you can do is, the link below, so we actually have a 17 lesson Arabic course, which gets you into the Quran. Right, so it's a very, alhamdulillah, well known by many people. You can ask a lot of people who've studied it, and they can tell you that it kind of just gets them into the meat of Arabic, basically, and then you kind of have a vision of what you want to do. That's the one of the good things about the course. Once you've done the 17 lessons, you kind of understand what you need to do, and then you kind of go from there. Whereas other sort of like Arabic approaches, which is you just cover Arabic grammar. Student covering half the book, he's done 1 year, half the book, and he still doesn't know what he's doing. Right, he's still waiting for that kind of eureka moment where he knows what he's got to do. So yeah, so if you contact their email, admin should get back to you. It's £50 course for 17 lessons. Alhamdulillah, many people have benefited from this. A lot of people who've actually done Arabic in other places and have joined this because it's very sort of like systematic. You know what you're getting. The work's very well covered, alhamdulillah, and there's an aim. You know what your aim is by the end of it. Caribbean boy, Yaman, Caribbean boy. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, long time, Yaman. Looking with Jazakallah khair, mashallah, Caribbean boy. What's happening, man? What's going on in the Caribbeans? Trinidad, yeah? Trinidad, isn't it? Trinidad, man. Ammar, going by the below hadith, can the coronavirus enter Medina? So you see, interestingly, when we kind of look at the hadith with regards to the plague and entering Medina, all that, was the Prophet ﷺ talking about a particular plague? Was he talking about, because coronavirus is a waba, and actually Medina was actually, what Medina was called? Medina was called Yathrib. Yathrib meant a filthy place, right, which was very dirty and filthy. So it's interesting how the Prophet ﷺ, when he came to Yathrib, the reason it was called a dirty place is because anyone that went there used to get ill. It was well known for non-Medinans to get ill when they visited. The Prophet ﷺ changed the name of it, and he said that it's Taiba, it's pure, it's not Yathrib. Yes, the Prophet ﷺ said, on the roads leading to Medina there are angels, and neither plague nor Dajjal will enter it. So what is this talking about? What type of plague? So the Arabs, the scholars, they say a virus is not a plague. Plague is different. So they call this a waba, obia. 100% true about grammar versus implementation. Yeah, that's what I... Yeah, so Ammar, so the hadith, so when the Prophet ever says something, we have to try and understand, what did he mean by it? Right? Someone might say something to you, but you have to think to yourself, what did he really mean by this? So if you look classically, historically, were there any illnesses that came into Medina? Yes, there were. Yeah, illnesses came to Medina. People, unfortunately did die of illnesses. But the thing is, it's what is the words of the Prophet are 100% true. But then what does he exactly mean by this? That's something which obviously we have to try and figure out. Assalamu alaikum Moon. Ahlan wa sahlan Moon 99. HK, my goal is to open the Quran and understand it. And also converse in Arabic. After 17 other lessons, how much more will I need to do? So I would say once you do the Quranic 17 lessons, right, then after that, it's all dependent upon how much effort you put in. And I've seen people, alhamdulillah, I had one guy, and he's come on this live stream a few times in the past. The guy travelled all the way from Europe to meet me, and he made a whole plan of his. And this guy, I've never seen such a focused student in my life. The guy had a whole 2-year plan of how much Arabic he's going to learn, at what stage he's going to reach, how much extra reading he's got to do. It was very focused. So I think a lot of people, a lot of students, what you need to do is you need to remember it's all your effort you got to put in, right? And that effort is based upon 2 things, right? I would say 2 things you have to remember in any effort that you do. Number 1 is you have to have what's the word for it? Thirst to learn, right? You have to have thirst to learn, number 1. So you have to kind of just ask and find out and learn more, speak to people like that. And number 2 is you can't have anything that's holding you back, like shyness, or arrogance. You can't have that. If you have shyness or arrogance, you're never gonna, because if you have shyness, you're going to be scared to approach a teacher, you're going to be scared to speak to someone or write something. And arrogance, obviously, if a person has arrogance, then they're just going to say, why should I study from him for? Why should I speak with him for? And then that why should I is eventually just going to stunt a person's development. So what you can do is maybe once you've done your 17 lessons, start a diary. Start writing a diary in Arabic. Doesn't matter if you make mistakes. A good thing about a diary is you'll have like a log of how your development is improving. Yeah. And what you can do is obviously study the other subjects as well. So after that, so you got Surah Yasin, you got Surah Mulk, stuff like that. Definitely. I would say it all depends on a person's ability. Maybe a person can do it within a year, develop. I mean, I've had students that have really kind of developed a lot in a short span of time. But it's all because it's how much effort they put in as well, trying to read other books. Hamza wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Jum'a Mubarak. Ahlan wa sahla marhaba. Muna Inain. Do you teach Quranic Arabic? Yes. So on the bottom, if you can see on the bottom, the details are there. Quranic Arabic, 17 lessons. It's a course. There's email there you can contact. Or if you've got Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, Roots of Knowledge. And you can contact the DM and the admin will get back to you with all the details. It's a £50 course, like I said. And alhamdulillah, a lot of people have benefited. I mean, before I used to have private classes for it, but then I realized, it's more easier for people to study at their own pace. So they receive the lesson, they study it, and then they send the homeworks in, and they can do it at their own pace. We've got some people that are doing like one lesson a day, so they finish it in just over 2 weeks. Alhamdulillah. Some of them take 3 or 4 months to do it. It's all at their own pace. How much hours did you spend revising daily as a student in Ilm class? It all depended. It depended on what kind of on the subject, on the time of the year. Exam was the exam time. Usually, I mean, our classes would start from, let's say, 7:30 in the morning, depending on season. So let's say 7:30, finish at 12. From 12 to about 2, you had a break. You had Salat as well. Then at 2, they resume classes at 2, all the way till about 5ish, sometimes 6. And then after that, you had Asr break. And then Maghrib after that is just all the way until as long as you want. So some students you had to stay until about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night. And then after that, it's just up to you. So some students would go to sleep. Some students would carry on till about 12 and 1, 2. Right, so it all depended. Hamza, are there any books you are writing or doing tahqiq of? Not at the moment. I mean, I was writing several things, but it wasn't really kind of that sort of like serious. I stopped. So Evolution of Fiqh I was writing, and there was the book on Mars, the Muslim on Mars, sci-fi book, and then I was just collecting maybe some things on fiqh. But since I started focusing more on this channel, I've hardly got any time. Sheikh R7, mashallah, R7 bro, alaikum assalam, ahlan wa sahlan. Hussein, jazakallah khair, you're welcome. So Yusuf Tariq, mashallah, what do you advise after studying 17 lessons course? Yusuf Tariq, mashallah. Yusuf Tariq's the man, bro. Guys, check out Yusuf Tariq's channel. What is it called? Al-Minara? Is it called Al-Minara? Al-Minara, yeah. So what I would say is after doing the 17 lessons, I mean, what I've thought about recently is, the Medina books. I think if you go through the entire Medina books after the 17 lessons, I've actually got a few students that are actually going through the Medina books on their own, and then they submit the homeworks to me. and they can actually kind of like even sort of understand it themselves. And this I think is a very important thing when you're learning a language. You need to allow the students to feel that they are able to read themselves. That's a great feeling that students get when they can finally pick up like a newspaper, an article, or a book, or start reading and think to themselves, you know what, subhanAllah, look, I can understand this for myself. So I think we need to allow students to make mistakes and allow them to be able to read themselves. So I would say after the 17 lessons, I've really found, so Surah Yasin, I've got Surah Yasin, I've got Surah Mulk, that's more like technical. The Medina books are very good because it's structured to allow a student to get into reading texts, right? And then after you do the 3 Medina books, then do Ajurumiyya, for example, or any sort of Arabic grammar text, like a specific balagha. That I think it will really, really benefit a person. I think that sort of structure is a very sensible structure. It keeps the passion of the student going, and it's also something which is, you can say, feasible for the student as well to do. Like it's laid out in a nice way. I just want to say I love you for the sake of Allah. May Allah bring success to you and your family. Ameen. Jazakumullah khair. May the one for whom you love me love you too. Yeah. Ahabbaka alladhi ahbabtani fi. Yeah, scholars say we should say this when someone said this to us. Ahabbaka alladhi ahbabtani fi. Ameen. Jazakallah khair. MashaAllah. Quite echo. Inshallah one day we're going to meet, inshallah. Yeah. Definitely after the lockdown, inshallah. I would love to meet all of you guys. Yeah. Sometimes I think to myself, imagine we had like a big massive, so like an event or dinner or something that we could all meet, alhamdulillah. Okay. Bro, your name, I always find saying your name a tongue twister. So Berchen, Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. How many days before Ramadan is it prohibited to fast? So according to the Hanafi school, it's not prohibited, right, to fast before Ramadan. What's prohibited is if a person believes that fasting before Ramadan is extremely virtuous, in the sense that it's like adding days to Ramadan. So the Prophet ﷺ didn't want people, like, sometimes like someone wants to pray Salat, they say Dhuhr Salat starts at 1 o'clock, and someone wants to pray right at 1 o'clock, and then someone says, I'm going to start my prayer at 12:30, and someone says, I'm going to start my prayer at 12 o'clock. So it's like too much zeal, right, where it's leading a person to alter the laws of the Sharia, right? It's alternate, and that's what the Prophet didn't want. That's why he told people, look, after the 15th, he said to some people, don't fast. But he didn't prohibit it for everyone, because we have other narrations where there were Sahaba who used to fast, and Aisha radhiyallahu anha says that the most the Prophet used to fast in any month after Ramadan was Sha'ban. And then there's like this ending of. So I've actually, have I explained it? No, I haven't. I haven't reached that point. Quduri, have I? Yeah, I haven't reached that part. Yeah, so okay. I mean, I've got a course tomorrow. I've got a Sufa online course that I'm going to be doing on zakat and fasting as well. So zakat and fasting is going to be at 10 o'clock in the morning, I think, for 2 hours or so, 2-3 hours. So if you're interested in that, go to asufa.org, their website, and maybe you can register for that. So we're doing a whole Ramadan regarding fasting and regarding zakat questions. Yeah, whole course on that. Why now? Have you cooked anything during this lockdown? Yes, I have. Okay, what have I cooked? I haven't really cooked anything technical, but things I'm okay. So the basic things like porridge, I cook porridge. Okay, if you call that cooking. Cooked beans, toast, eggs. I cooked fish. I cooked chips. I cooked basic kind of things. Yeah, so in this lockdown, I have been very busy, but I mean, if I did have time, I think I would like to cook other things as well. Yeah, so maybe something like biryani or anything like that. Following a recipe, I like following recipes and making stuff like that. But definitely, if I had more time. But as you can see on my YouTube channel, some days I've been putting up 2 videos a day, and then with the reflections as well. And I don't know if I'm going to do reflections today. Sherry, the Flash. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Any advice for students of knowledge? Yes, just carry on studying. Yeah, carry on studying, bro. That's the main thing. Just have thirst. Yusuf Tariq, yes. Hamza, I went through the Medina books and I benefit immensely with my vocab application. Yeah, definitely. Medina books are structured in a very nice way. Esther saying, is the Medina course for the one by Dr. Abdul Rahim? Yes, that's the one. I have the books. I don't know if it is the one you mean. Yeah, that's the one. So he's actually got lots of books he's written. If you Google, he's got a website and it's got loads of resources on there. I'm thinking maybe I might use some of those resources on my YouTube channel, because he's got like, for like these hadith, 40 arba'un hadith book. He's got like on Surah Yusuf. He's done a breakdown of it in Arabic. It's very useful. I think he's a very intelligent man, and he knows exactly what the reader needs. Why now? I finished the Medina course twice, but I'm still not able to read Arabic books. I was only able to do that once I started reading Arabic books with my teacher and write essays in Arabic, which they check. Medina books on its own isn't enough. You need a teacher. Yeah, I mean, some people, yeah. Good point. I think it depends how it's taught also. Is it free? And that's not cooking. What's the website for the courses tomorrow? Could you post a link? So I don't. So if you check, I haven't really kind of checked whether asufa.org. So let me just have a check. Asufa.org. So it's on this website somewhere. I don't know exactly. So yeah, it's here. Yeah, so if you go there, you should be able to find it there. Damn, yo, does Allah have the power to lie? I'm not saying does he lie. I know he doesn't lie, but does he have the power to lie? Apparently it's a Mu'tazila belief, but I think the Ubandis believe it. So this kind of a question, it goes back to the question of, is Allah able to create a rock that's bigger than him? So it's like I personally think it's a futile question, because like whenever we frame a question, we also always have to try and understand how we're framing that question. Yeah. So for example, if someone says, can Allah eat cherries? Can Allah run in the park? Can Allah, because when we say Allah is able to do everything, in Allah ala kulli shay'in qadir, what do we mean by this? Is Allah able to create another Allah that's more powerful than him? So these kind of questions are useless questions, I personally think, because it has no like benefit, no sort of like fruit, especially with public. I think it's one of the most biggest fitna kind of things that people out there are putting out there. If it was in an academic classroom environment and someone was to ask this kind of a question, like someone was to say, like, how, to what limit do we understand the qudrat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Our minds are so small that we can't understand what does it mean to have qudra. Like what is it, for example, what is a lie? Like what is the definition of lie, for example? Is a lie saying something which is against my understanding? Is a lie something I'm fabricating a belief in my head? So the scholars have differed with regards to what is a lie, and then trying to think about how does a lie, like, for example, is a lie wrong? Like why is it wrong then? So I think first of all, what people need to discuss is, if you really want to go into this Mu'tazili issue about the lying, is like, what is a lie? Why is lying wrongful? Zulm, what is zulm? Oppression. So for example, if Allah was to destroy all of mankind, or everyone, if Allah was to kill all children with cancer, let's say, destroy them all, yeah, give them death, is that wrong? Is it right? Like, does it come under dhulm? Is Allah dhullamun al-abid? Like, how does that work? So because these are very, very technical issues, I personally think general public, when they use this argument and say, oh, some people say Allah can lie, I think either they are very stupid, I think it's just a sign of stupidity, because they're using a very literal sort of understanding of this idea, right, and going around and saying, oh, Allah can, these guys are saying Allah can lie, you when they're saying Allah can lie, right? I think they haven't really kind of researched it properly, and they're just like saying something that they've heard from other people that say this. And it can be used for other things as well, like people can extend it to other things as well. Oh, can Allah create a Quran that's more baligh than the Quran? Yeah, oh, astaghfirullah, someone says that Allah can send an ayah that's more powerful than the Quran itself, then that means that the Quran's weak. So you see, this kind of like whole kind of, it's like saying, can you make a square circle? It's the square circle argument. So Damio, I think I personally feel sorry for the people who bring this issue up, and that's why I don't like going into ilm al-kalam. When people ask me ilm al-kalam questions on public platforms, I don't like going into it, because I don't think it gives justice to the topic, the subject, especially when usually the person who's asking this question, and I'm not saying Damio, your intentions are wrong, but I'm saying generally when people ask me this kind of question, I know 80% of the people that ask this question just want to cause like a strife. They just, Allah knows their intention, and Allah on the Day of Judgment is going to question them about that. But I think they generally just want to cause fitna. That's all they want to do. They want someone to be labeled, and they want someone to be accused of something. And I personally feel sorry for them, because you are dealing with you are delving in something which is, on the Day of Judgment, Allah is gonna question you about it. Wallahi, Allah is going to question you about this. So I think people need to be very careful what they say in public. Yeah, Imam Malik rahimahullah, when someone asked him, what does istawa al-arsh mean? And he just gave a straight answer, and he said, istiwa ma'al. We know what istiwa means in Arabic. And believing that Allah is istawa al-arsh, this is wajib. And so he just gave an answer, and he said, look, he goes, asking a question, it's innovation. To ask this question is innovation. He got angry at the questioner, as in, this, you shouldn't be asking this question, this is a wrong question. And Imam Malik was known for this, and he was very against this idea of people, in public, doing these kind of things. So I just feel sorry for the people who ask this kind of question. And unfortunately, what happens is when people bring these very technical topics up, it creates lots of controversy, and unfortunately, lots of lay people, they feed off controversy. It's like the thing that motivates them to wake up in the morning. Yeah, 5G. Oh, what does 5G mean? Why is it called 5G? Why not 5F or 5, something else? So that's why I don't like answering these questions. Loving World, could you recommend good books on the introduction of Hadith? Introductions of Hadith, you mean in English? In English, are you talking about? So, in English, you'd find lots of stuff. So if you Google, I'm sure you'd find lots of things on English. In Arabic, there's loads of books out there. Quiet Echo on, I'm going to finish in a bit now. Quiet Echo, one hard thing while learning and reading Arabic is stopping mid-sentences without no comma. I always stopped in the wrong area. Yeah, that is a big problem. And classical Arabic doesn't have like this kind of like punctuation marks. So that's why, what you need to do is you need to read with someone. So you need to read to someone, and once you start reading with someone and you know where to stop, that it kind of like passively, it gives that ability. What do you think are the top 3 Islamic studies, schools, universities in the world? I wouldn't be able to say what the top ones are because I haven't really kind of surveyed them. But from what people have been telling me, from what I've kind of like understood from people, I would say Nadwa. It depends as well. Nadwatul Ulama in India is a very, very good one if you want to focus on Adab al-Arabi, like strengthen your Arabic, right? Adab al-Arabi, these guys are amazing. Yeah. So their Arabic, you rarely find someone who studied in Nadwa and can't write Arabic. Number 2, in Jordan, right? Jordan, Sheikh Salah Abul Hajj, his is excellent for Hanafi fiqh. Yeah, Sheikh Salah Abul Hajj, I think that's excellent. And in the future, there might be a collaboration with Sheikh Salah Abul Hajj and maybe with As-Sufa, maybe. We're looking into that at the moment. We haven't really kind of confirmed anything. But some of Sheikh Salah Abul Hajj's students were speaking with me, and we're looking into that. So Sheikh Salah Abul Hajj, if you don't know him, you can Google him, you can find out. I think that's an excellent place, especially for Hanafi fiqh. And I don't know really where else. Something like Hadith or something. It's difficult to say. Turkey is considered to be a very strong place now for a lot of scholars. Ilm al-Kalam. Yeah, I've got a friend that actually teaches there, Mantiq and Ilm al-Kalam. So I think Turkey might be very good for that. Hadith, I don't know. I have a friend who's actually studying in Algeria Hadith. Maybe, I don't know exactly where. As Hussein, Arabic books don't have the answers to them. I also have Arabic tutor, and they have lots of question exercises, but do not know answers unless I have missed something. It puts me off using them. So yeah, so that's why I said, so Medina books are very good, but I tell the students to get it checked by me. So the students they send the answer them, send it to me, and then I correct them. So the reason I'm saying it's self-study is because you can go through yourself, and then but the answers obviously you need to get it checked by someone. Yeah, that's what I was saying in the beginning. اللغة العربية. Assalamu alaikum. Can you give any advice on terkib analysis of Arabic books? So there are a few which are quite good. There's one called what is it called? Al-Antaki Al-Nahu Al-Minhaj fi Nahu. Al-Minhaj fi Nahu is called, and that's got like half the book is just breaking down and doing terkibs of simple sentences, common sentences. Minhaj, that's a very good book. So the first half it mentions Arabic rules, second half it goes into this kind of terkib breakdown. Yeah. I mean, I've done lots of videos. If you check out the videos on my YouTube channel, I've got like loads on terkibs I've done. I'm doing some new ones now as well. Damn, ya jazakallah khair. You're welcome. Iyakum. Loving the world. In Arabic, please mention a few starter books for the intro of Hadith. In Arabic, yeah. So if you want to do, there's a very excellent book. It's called Makanatu Sunnah by Mustafa Rafi. I think that's a very good book. Number 2, so Makanatu Sunnah tells you about the whole concept of Sunnah, importance of Sunnah, right? Number 2, there's a book called Al-Ihtijaj bis Sunnah, I think. It's by Al-Khatib Al-Ajjaj, right? He's got that, and he's also got a book on Usul Hadith as well. Yeah, that's a very, very useful book as well. And also, who else has a very, very good book on introduction to the science of Hadith? Mufti Taqi Usmani's got a good book as well. The importance of Sunnah. It's called The Importance of Sunnah. Yeah, so these are some very good works. So I am slowly going to be doing a series on the YouTube channel, inshallah, covering in detail. But yeah, those are some good books that you can use. The main thing is, if you really want to understand, you need to understand the history of Hadith. Yeah, and for that, Tadween al-Hadith by Sheikh Ahsan al-Kaylani. Yeah, Munadhir Ahsan Kaylani. So he's written a series of books in Urdu, but some of them have been translated into Arabic. So one of them, my teacher, Sheikh Abdul Razak Iskandar, has translated into Arabic. And it's called Tadween al-Hadith, and it's got like footnotes by Dr. Bashar Awad. And have I got it here somewhere? No, I don't have it. I think someone borrowed it from me. Haven't given me back or something. I don't know. Yeah, it's a very, very. And you can get it, I think, on PDF of it. Very, very good. And I think that is probably the one of the first I read. I was in madrasa when I first read that. The actual teacher gave it to me as a gift. Yeah, when I was in the 5th year, I went to meet him. I'm sure Abdul Razak Iskandar, when I was in his house, he gave us a copy. So it was really kind of good. I mean, I benefited immensely from it. Sufyan, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan, Sufyan, how you been? Abdul Rahman wa salam, do you have an Arabic refresher course on your website? So 17 lessons, the Quranic Arabic 17 lessons is the best course which I tell people. Right, you can do your own pace, your own times, pre-recorded lessons, £50 for the entire course. And it gets you back into the mode of Arabic. So a lot of people have studied before Arabic, but they can't find something that brings it all together. So they studied about mudaf ilayh, they've studied about mubtada khabar, they've studied about maf'ul, and they studied about tathniya dual, and they studied about jazm, but they can't seem to fit it all together. And by the end of it, like, they can't absorb it and come up with sentences. But this course, it allows you to do that. So the details are the bottom there, you can check it out. 5 rule, follow the Shafi madhab. If I know an opinion from different madhab that is opposite and most authentic, am I in sin if I didn't follow it? E.g. in Shafi, washing mouth isn't obligatory in ghusl. No, you won't be. Yeah, you won't be sinful for it. Because remember, you can only be sinful if something you're doing out of out of some sort of like wrong intention. Like if a person has a wrong intention of doing something, right? So if you don't know, right, then you can't be sinful for it. Yeah, it's because these masail are all what we call ijtihadi masail. So there's lots of scope for, like what we call ikhtilaf, right? And once a guy wrote a book, and he called it Kitab al-Ikhtilaf. So he showed it to Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, and Imam Ahmad said, why didn't you call it Kitab as-Sa'a? As in, why didn't you call it the book of scope? Like, rephrase it. Fiqh is about scope, right? We call it Ikhtilaf, but in reality, Ikhtilaf means difference of opinions. It means to show how much room the Sharia has given flexibility. The book of flexibility. Muhammad Islam. What books do you recommend to read someone who is going to Dora? Do you think Shurut al-Khamsa, excellent book, definitely. Reading about the lives of the Mukthirin, they will definitely help. But what I would suggest is when you go to Dora, try and focus on the sort of like books that are written regarding the approaches of the authors, like regarding Bukhari, regarding Muslim, regarding Tirmidhi. So for Tirmidhi, there's an excellent book written by Sheikh Nuruddin Etter. It's called Makanatu Tirmidhi. I think it's called Muwazanatu Tirmidhi wa Sahihain. Muwazanatu Tirmidhi wa Sahihain. And this actually inspired me. I've read most of it. This actually inspired me to start compiling hadith charts. So I think that's a very good. Nuruddin Etter, I think it was his PhD in the 60s he did. And there's also Sheikh Salman Nadwi has also got a book on the Tirmidhi as well. So these are very useful. It gives you like an insight. There's actually a very good one I found. It was on the Adat. I think it's called Adat al-Imam al-Bukhari fi Sahihi, something like that. Adat al-Bukhari. And it kind of goes through the habits, so you already kind of know what to expect in Bukhari. What I would suggest is when you ever study any book, this is irrespective of its Dora, any book you study, go to someone, ask them, can you give me like a breakdown of what this book is about and what I'm supposed to be expecting in this book? A lot of students don't do that. So for them, it's like they're jumping in the deep end. Every time they study a new book, they're jumping in the study Hidayat al-Nahu, they don't know what it's about. Jump in the deep end. By the time they get to the end of it, then they think, oh, this book is easy. Quduri, jump in the deep end. Hidayah in the deep end. And all these books. So I think this deep end sort of like plunge that lots of people do, I think it's a very sort of a very negative way of approaching the book. And the reason I call it negative is because a lot of students got put off the subject, and by the end of it they get burnt out. And when you kind of see them, they're like, I'm not interested in Nahu anymore, I'm not interested in Hadith, and I'm not interested in Aqidah anymore, because it kind of like drains them all. Does that make sense? So I think what you need to do is any book that anyone studies is maybe get in contact with the teacher and say to them, look, I want to go into, let's say, Usul Hadith. What should I expect? And remember I told you that guy that came from Europe to meet me. He actually did that, and I was shocked. He asked me, he said to me, this book, he said, what should I expect? Like, what does it cover? What's the main sort of thing I need to focus on? And I was like, whoa, this guy, excellent, right? He's very focused, right? So I think this is what students need. Does excessive laughing break wudu? No. Sufyan, have you studied the other 3 fiqh schools in detail and chose to stay with the Hanafi madhab, or only studied Hanafi madhab in detail madrasa? So if you ask me how much have I studied of the other madhabs, I haven't really studied the other madhabs as much as I've studied the Hanafi madhab. So I've studied the other madhabs, as in generally I've studied comparative fiqh. I know what the other madhabs are saying, like in wudu and ghusl and all that kind of stuff. But I haven't studied it in nitty gritty detail, right? Like the Hanafi madhab. Hanafi madhab I've studied it in great detail, right? So the mutuns, the shuruhat, I kind of have a very good understanding of the sort of like layout of the Hanafi madhab, the usul, the qawaid, the principles. To be able to do that with all the 4 madhabs, I would personally say, if you have 40 years, probably you can do it. 40-50 years. It's a very difficult thing. I wish I could. Want to know on Hanafi, if you get up from sujood on the first and second rakat, the hand raising, is it wajib or sunnah to do? So no, according to Hanafis, we don't raise the hands except in the beginning. So at the beginning, when you start your salat, Allahu Akbar, after that you don't raise your hands. Do you think Usul Shashi should be replaced with Azad min Usul al-Fiqh al-Islami by Allah al-Farfur? Maybe before that. Maybe before. I think when Usul al-Shashi is taught, Usul al-Shashi needs to be taught in a certain way. I don't think it should be removed. at all. I think Usul Shashi is a very good book. It's very thought-provoking. There's very good discussions that are in that book. And I think a lot of people, when they kind of try to design a syllabus, one of the biggest problems that they have in designing a syllabus, they think that each book is replaceable, and that isn't always the case. I would say that certain books are key books. Like for example, Badaya Sanai is much more of an easier book to teach and study than Hidayah. But Hidayah, the arguments, the way he kind of phrases and the arguments, that's something unique in that book, and it's very fiqh orientated. Yeah, so Usul Shashi I think is very... Matn al-Manar is actually an excellent book if you want to study something like as a beginner. Matn al-Manar is an excellent book to start with. Mabadi al-Usul by Sheikh Ahmad Saeed Palampuri, very good. The one by Sheikh Akram Nadawi is very good, easy as well. Yeah, so these are kind of like very sort of like easy sort of like books to start off with. But it all depends how it's taught. Okay, Arabic studies. Wa alaikum assalam. Alright guys, Jazakallah khair. I think my time's up. Thank you very much guys. Today I might not be able to reflections. Just keep an eye out on social media. But inshallah, if I do, then I'll let you know inshallah. But otherwise, take care guys. And remember your du'as. All the Americans all here, yeah? Hamza, you're here. Any other of the US? The USA guys, yeah. Yeah, you guys are all here. And what do you guys think of the Arabic speaking videos? Yeah, from my lesson yesterday. Do you know Sheikh Saqib Sami? Give him my salam. I don't know him personally, but inshallah, if I do get to meet him, inshallah, and I remember, I'll give him your salam inshallah. S. Hussein, wa alaikum assalam, jazakallah khair, wa iyyakum. Yeah, remember everyone to click like. Yeah, make sure you hit the like button as hard as you can, and make sure you don't break your device. And the bar video, did you guys manage to watch the videos on the bar? Yeah, so if you check on the YouTube channel, bar, I'm going to go through the 13 different applications of bar. Right, most of them are in the Quran, and I think it helps a lot of students to understand Arabic application or grammatical application. And what else? What other did I have any other videos I put up recently? Yeah, the Arabic singing. Do you remember the Arabic singing ones? Yeah, the poem that I put up by the night campfire. I was thinking, what do you guys think of this? If I because the way I read the poem was it was in taqti. It was like broken down according to the meters in poetry. And I was thinking, if I do like a series, maybe read poetry in that kind of a tone, and then maybe have like a bit of commentary underneath. So I don't commentate on the hadith, rather I just put up the Arabic and the translation. Right? What do you guys think of that kind of thing? I think might be a good thing, because it will expose people more to classical poetry and even modern poetry as well. So your 28 lessons are basically equivalent to Mabadi al-Usul. Yes, in you can say in more detail. Yeah, in more detail. I would say Mabadi al-Usul is like a good precursor to like Usul Shashi, because it's laid out in a very similar way. If you notice how they kind of lay things out. Yeah, there's another book. It's called Mujiz. The 28 lessons of Usul Fiqh. I actually base a lot of it on, or from the content of Al-Mujiz by Nadawi. There's a book called Al-Mujiz, yeah, by Nadawi. That's a very good book. Jazakallah khair, Ammar. Ahlan wa sahlan. Jazakallah khair. MashaAllah, MashaAllah. May Allah keep you happy and keep you safe. And I still got that Tajweed. Was that Tajweed book? Remember, you gave me that Tajweed book. Was that from your mother? Did she write that Tajweed book? I still have that, And I was thinking maybe I might actually just teach that, as in just go through it. Might be a good sadaqah jariyah as well. What's the difference between Shashi and Patreon and Uruk? So the one on Uruk is the full course, and the one on Patreon is the one that I'm putting up slowly. It's the same thing. Yeah, it's the same thing. But on the Uruk one, it's like you can get access to the whole course if you want. Yeah, Mujiz is very good. Yeah, Mujiz. There's a Wajiz as well. Sheikh Wahab al-Zuhaili's got Wajiz. Yeah, Usul Fiqh al-Hanafi. It's quite good as well. Right, but the main thing about usul is application. I think a lot of students forget that application is the most important thing. Like, can you apply it to hadith? Can you apply it? That's the kind of thing that you want to reach. So, Jazakumullah khair, guys. And inshallah, I will see you guys tomorrow, hopefully, for the live Q&A. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.